This review was made possible by contributions from viewers like you.
Whoa. That was a weird couple of hours.
Actually, it's been more like a week.
Thank you. I love missing huge chunks of time.
Hey, that's what you get for not liking D&D.
Ah, so I either lose time by being banished, or by being put to sleep by a boring game. Got it.
And while a lot of people did enjoy my take on Seed Seekers, your executive producers have chosen Invader Zim comics, and I don't know anything about Invader Zim, so I had to bring you back.
Is that the only reason you brought me back?
And I missed you. But not liking D&D is pretty wrong.
Uh-huh. Anyway, Invader Zim. My executive producers have decided that I should talk about the first two issues of Oni Press's run of Invader Zim comics. Invader Zim tells the story of a dangerously brilliant, but even more dangerously inept alien invader from the planet Urk, who was sent to planet Earth to, well, basically stay out of the way while the superiors carrying on with their real galactic conquest. I love how in most alien invasion stories, Earth is pivotal in the alien schemes, but in this, it's just a complete afterthought. Yeah, Zim and his robot companion Gur just happened to bump into Earth by accident. If it hadn't happened, he would have been flying through space until the end of time.
Gur, would you please stop singing?
Zim's incredibly subtle infiltration of Earth is noticed only by a young paranormal investigator named Dib, and since nobody believes his paranormal findings, he's completely alone in his fight against Zim, save for his apathetic sister Gaz. Unfortunately, the show was cancelled before any real resolution could be reached, and Zim's last attempt to take over the world involved the creation of a cybernetic Santa Claus that turned into a Lovecraftian horror. Yeah, this was a really weird cartoon. So yeah, more than a decade after the most horrible Christmas ever, Oni Press released their first issue of Invader Zim, aptly titled The Returning. The cover for issue 1 is... blech. Sure, the bloated, acne-riddled Dib is prominently featured in the issue, but what if you had no idea who Invader Zim or his supporting cast are? Does this make you want to buy the comic to satisfy your curiosity, or does it make you just want to walk on by and see what else is on the rack? Frankly, I think the cover for issue 2 is much more appealing. Featured front and center is Invader Zim himself, the earth shattering like glass under his mighty fist.
You obey the fist!
As much as I would have loved to see the comic drawn by Zim's creator, Jonan Vasquez, the pencils of Aaron Alexkovich really capture the essence of his jagged, chaotic art style. And Vasquez himself wrote the story, so we're definitely guaranteed his special brand of dear sweet God, what am I reading? Speaking of which, it is just amazing that this guy was asked to create a cartoon for Nickelodeon when his most prominent work at the time was Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Ah! The comic opens with, previously on Invader Zim, with Recap Kid. This new addition to the Zim universe brings us up to speed on the premise of the show, pointing out how Zim is the worst invader in the Urkin Armada, how his leaders, the Tallest, sent him on his mission to Earth just to get him out of their hair, all that stuff. I'm not really sure why the comic is opening with this, though. The actual story begins with Dib staring at his computer, constantly and obsessively watching Zim to see what his next move will be. Seems like this would be a perfectly appropriate spot for Dib to introduce new readers to Zim and why he needs to be stopped. But then again, Recap Kid is very reminiscent of the randomness of Wobbly-Headed Bob or Happy Doodle Boy, so it fits right in with the rest of the Vasquez library.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, that's me in D&D, and I grew up with it! Anyway, Gaz and their father, Professor Membrane, are about to sit down to the awesome eventuality of dinner! Sadly, they can't start dinner without Dib, So it's up to Gaz to bring him downstairs. As mentioned before, he's been up there for years waiting on Zim to make his next move, allegedly since the end of the original series. And to his horror, he finds Zim doing stretches! The Zim fans in my audience might be thinking that this looks a little familiar. As it happens, the first several pages of this comic were the inspiration for Zim's Netflix original movie, Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus. Sadly, the translation from Jonah Vasquez's artwork to animation can only go so far, and as such, the movie is a little bit lacking in how disgusting Dib really is at this point, as he wheels himself over to Zim's base, unable to get out of his chair. And this, boys and girls, is why hygiene and exercise are so important.
I don't like this comic. This comic is gross.
One of these days I need to show you the episode Germs.
No, you do not. No.
Dib finds Zim posing dramatically in anticipation for his arrival, and when asked what he's been doing all this time, Zim reveals that he's been waiting. Patiently. In a toilet.
Why is he hiding in a toilet?
Actually, it's not a toilet. It's just the elevator that goes into the lower levels of his base.
Why does it look like a toilet, and why is he hiding in it?
Because it looks funny.
Does it, though?
Gotta give the Urkins this much. Dib spends a few years doing nothing, and his body turns to crap. Zim spends a few years doing nothing, and he looks great.
It is clear who the superior species is! Isn't it? Isn't it? You stink!
Actually, Dib letting himself go was completely the point. Zim says that he played possum, knowing that Dib would spend every waking moment of his life waiting for him to do something, and he's only grown fatter and weaker as he just sat there doing nothing. Now that Dib is helpless, Zim begins his reign of terror by kicking over trash cans. Then he switches around the neighbor's mail. Then he reads from a newspaper that he didn't pay for. And Grr launches a poodle into space! I thought you liked that poodle.
Why I do this?
Oh, Grr, never change. Now that Phase 1 of Zim's plan is complete, it's time to move on to Phase 2!
That's my favorite phase!
Unfortunately, Zim is cursed to be as stupid as he is brilliant, and it doesn't occur to him that now would be a perfect time to just kill Dib and put an end to his interference once and for all. Instead, Dib wheels himself back home and prepares to get back into shape. Then we jump back to Zim deep in the bowels of his base. At this point in the movie Enter the Florpus, it's revealed that he actually forgot what Phase 2 was supposed to be, and he spends the next 10 minutes of screen time trying to figure out what it was. In this comic, however, Zim knows exactly what Phase 2 is, and he contacts an imprisoned scientist from the planet Vort to set it in motion. As vast as the Urkin Empire is, he could be talking to anyone right now, but I love how they're referencing the technological geniuses that brought us the Megadoomer.
The Megadoomer, Grr! The most powerful stealth robot in the Urkin military. Engineered by conquered Vort scientists, actually. They're filthy.
Zim demands that prisoner 777 give him the jump codes to something called the Gargantus Array. And I can only assume that prisoner 777 here is named after Johnny the Homicidal Maniac's home address. I see what you did there, Mr. Vasquez. Dib, meanwhile, knows that if he's going to get back into shape real fast, there's only one way to do it.
We're gonna need a montage. Ooh, it takes a montage.
Hilariously enough, he's singing his own montage song, and his otherwise apathetic sister is helping him by shredding some licks on the guitar. It's like Squeedly versus Mealy over here. Go, Squeedly! Go, Squeedly! Squeedly wins! So yeah, Dib is now completely ripped, but he takes another week to get back down to normal size since he didn't like being huge and gross. During this last week, Zim just kind of blows off Phase 2 for a while as he and Grr binge watch a show about some kind of ball cap wearing sausage and a cowboy baby.
They've ruined this show, Grr. Not a single original cast member remains.
A criticism that cannot be said of Enter the Florpus. Dib's arrival at Zim's front door makes him think, oh yeah, I had a plan to finish, and he and Grr fly off into space. Dib makes a mad dash for home so he can pursue him. Dad, guess Zim left the planet and he's up to something terrible and he thinks I can't follow him into space, but he's underestimated me and I'm gonna have to go, but I promise I'll be back as soon as I save the human race. You did tell him he was grounded, right? Mm-hmm.
My poor insane son.
A minor point here, but this is pretty cute. Professor Membrane has always had an incredibly hands-off approach to his parenting, but it's nice seeing him playing video games during daddy-daughter time. The comic ends as Dib goes into his garage, where we see him prepare his own Voot Cruiser to chase after Zim. For those unfamiliar with the cartoon series, it was told in an episodic fashion without much continuity to speak of, but when one episode ended with Dib salvaging an Urkin spaceship for his own needs, that was too many flavors of awesome. Issue 2 begins with Zim calling the Almighty Tallest, and he really doesn't have anything to say aside from that he's undergoing his latest mission to conquer the Earth, so his call is just pointless and annoying. Just like every time he calls the Tallest. Yes, about the Tallest really quick. The Urkin civilization has evolved in such a way so that the role of Supreme Leader is given to whoever just so happens to be the tallest, hence their title. Red and Purple here just happen to be the same height, so they get to share the title, responsibilities, and perks of the Almighty Tallest. But isn't it a little strange how they're significantly taller than everyone else? Or that their waists are significantly slimmer than everyone else's? Or that they have only 2 fingers while everyone else has 3? Clearly, Red and Purple are regular-sized Urkins, and they're wearing taller exosuits so they can rule over everyone else! So yeah, Zim's call results in nothing but annoying the Tallest. Then we cut to Dib following Zim in hot pursuit. Hey, look, there's that poodle that girl launched into space. Man, it looks fine. Who knew that poodles were made of sterner stuff? Anyway, Dib tracks Zim's energy signature to the galaxy's largest space donut, and apparently it's filled with dark matter.
Sounds delicious, but I prefer Bavarian cream.
On the surface of this giant space donut is, naturally, a gift shop selling various galaxy's largest donuts merchandise. Dib runs inside and asks the vendor if he's seen Zim and if he knows anything about what he's after. He says he might remember what Zim is up to if Dib just happened to buy a little something, prompting Dib to buy everything in the store. Nope, doesn't jog my memory, bloops. You weren't asking for a bribe? What's a bribe? Dib then proceeded to take every bit of dark matter that he could find and shove it down this idiot's throat. After stopping by every space-side attraction in the galaxy, Dib finally catches up to Zim at the Gargantus Array. And, yeah, the name Gargantus is not unwarranted. They get into a dogfight after Zim stupidly teaches Dib how to use the ship's weapon systems, and Dib very quickly takes him down.
Yay! I'm exploding!
Sidebar here. When I was in high school, I made a mix CD that had a couple of Invader Zim remixes, and the rest of it was just filled up with Gur quotes. Oh, how I wish I could take this comic's dialogue and slip it in there. Zim and Gur make a crash landing into the array, and Dib continues after them. Well, here's hoping there's a breathable atmosphere in this thing. Sweet! I didn't die! Yeah, that makes sense. Just like the Urkin Armada having the same operating systems as humans.
I only hope the Urkins just happen to use the same operating system as me. Yes!
An entire 2 more days pass before Zim finds the control room. Dib tries to stop him, but it's too late. Phase 2 is complete. Dib has failed to stop Zim's evil mission of not destroying the Earth, but broadcasting his workout montage to every point in the universe! Hey, Gaz! I did another one of those farts and I'm really scared!
Oh yeah, Dib. My vengeance is now complete.
And the comic ends with Dib dragging his humiliated ass back home with the entire universe laughing at him. Oh yeah. Just like in the show, Zim will go through unthinkable lengths just to troll his nemesis. Psychological warfare at its most psychotic. Anyway, these comics are just great. Jonah Vasquez's writing still feels as fresh as it did 20 years ago. The artwork is an excellent recreation of his style, and it's wonderfully frustrating that everything that happens here is just one long pointless joke. If Zim isn't actively trying to take over the world, he's demonstrating to Dib that he'll never be rid of him. This really feels like an episode of the cartoon that was just slapped onto the pages of the comic book. And as we wrap up Indie Comic Month 2 and prepare for the next Christmas in July, there is only one thing left to say. Merry Platypus, one and all.
Any chance I could banish Zim?
Nope, he's here to stay. See you later.
Subscribe, like, follow, comment.